Good evening and welcome to a Sunday night / Monday night edition of SAFC Fancast. It was supposed to be Sunday night, Jonathan, but I got back from Colleen too late. So we're having it tonight. Joining me, Matt. How are you?
Great.
Did you enjoy your Nations League championship?
It's just another league.
I know.
It wasn't that exciting, but it was good. I guess you could say like a cupcake camp in a way.
I saw that the refs came through for you guys, just like for Real Madrid. Rafa,
that dude,
how are you?
Guy wanted to play. He wanted to play airplane.
Rafa, how are you? I see you're wearing Mexico's kit here. So congrats on the trophy for that here.
It was just good to see them play better. That's like I told Matt, this is just, like I said, good. We did well. We did what we had to do. It's still a work in progress. It's still got a long way to go. We'll see what they do against Switzerland and Turkey, and then the Gold Cup, and then we'll see what happens from there. Supposedly, I think they're going to try to play Argentina in the fall, so that should be a good one.
Jonathan, I believe you're more Team USA than you are Team Mexico. So rough night for us, or a rough weekend actually, to finish fourth place, losing to Panama and old Canada.
I mean, honestly, I've been kind of not completely tuned out, but
you're like me.
I've not been, and this kind of stretches back to late 2017 when we missed the World Cup, and then we took a year to drag our feet and wait to make the head coaching appointment that everyone knew was going to happen after like 5 minutes. So I don't know. And then just this generation of players, it kind of doesn't matter what coach they bring in, because if the players aren't going to step up, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of pathetic, honestly. And they were able to kind of stumble their way through and get some previous Nations League titles, because obviously Mexico had its own struggles for a few years, and then all of a sudden Canada decided, hey, we're going to be a decent team too, and so now US needs to kind of slap itself a bit. Wake up! You're not the only ones in CONCACAF anymore, and you should have known that. But let this be another reminder.
They need to do something. I'll just say that here, and then, like I said here, Chris Leja, you're bad, man. Your bad takes continue from CM Punk to your dislike of the U.S. men's national team. Although, to be honest with you, their performance this weekend, yeah, it's kind of laughable for that here. So we're not here to talk about. Let's see here. Me and some fellas clowned Mexico when they dropped their new kit, saying they had to at least lose looking good. Well, then,
it's true. At least they looked good.
And was it Minecraft kits? I think I watched more Mexico with Matt than I did any of the United States games here, which is not shocking. We need to have Royce and Robert on, Mr. and Mr. USA. I just don't get into international soccer. I know World Cup it does, World Cup qualifying, but these little nation leagues. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. Nations League is kind of just a made-up tournament. I mean, honestly, I can see the benefit for some teams, but for a team like the U.S. that in a normal cycle is going to go deep into World Cup qualifying, is going to have, particularly with CONCACAF having the Gold Cup every other summer, basically, with the U.S. getting invited to Copa America and whatnot, they don't need this. And teams like Mexico, they don't need it. And Nations League, I don't know. I think it would make more sense for the B and C list teams,
Caribbean
and gives
teams.
them. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, for the US at least. There are better games they could be having than this, and I mean, it feels like we have a Nations League final every single year now. So yeah, if you play it that often, what's the point? Why are we doing this?
Money
I
grab.
don't
Well,
understand.
It's just made up games. It's
And it's
stupid.
always in the U.S. too. That's the other thing. It's always in the United States.
Well, it ain't going nowhere else anytime soon.
I don't know. Nobody's showing their ass up and paying the high price of the tickets. You have that in Mexico, or you have that, let's say, in Costa Rica, Jamaica. You'll have fans in the seat. But
especially
anyway,
Mexico and that whole thing.
in Mexico, politics aside, I don't, and I understand there's more money in the United States, but to me, and this goes for the MLS money grab too. Oh, here we
Those
go.
picks.
Here we
Dude,
go.
it's because you and Derek went over there. That's why.
No, it's because Derek went solo without Robert.
Derek's the curse over there for the U.S. national team.
Robert is the cancellation for Derek at USA matches.
What's up?
That's what
Jack
it is.
Pilkington? I don't know. Just like I said here. Hope you had a good time, Ralph. Like I said here. I know those are fun experiences, and you go to them quite a bit here. And you are right, Ewan, that can't forget that the U.S. was a bottom dweller decades ago. So, and they're not bottom dwellers now, but there are a lot of unhappy people. We will just say Mexico, the kings of CONCACAF.
I mean,
not yet.
no.
No. We're not.
But
We're not
I'll
much
admit
on.
this.
It's still a work in progress.
I'll be a U.S. supporter every now and then. Even watching that game, I was very like, come on, guys. Like, they can do better. They should be doing better.
I don't know. I didn't watch the game, and so I can't really critique it. But from people that have watched it from online, that people that do know, I guess it was 2 hours that you wish you could get back from your life. So basically, they watched an SAFC game from last year. Is basically what they did. Since we're an SAFC show, Ralph brings in a great thing. We had a great time either way, but we have problems. That's U.S. men's national teams and SAFC from 2024. 2025 SAFC, however, not saying they're perfect. They are trending up for that here. I think they're a little. I think our buddy Nicholas Murray went a little bit too crazy. Has them second in his power pool for that here. Which hey, as an SAFC fan, sure, but I have to say the win against Monterey Bay looks a little bit more impressive. Who went to Orange County? Going to Oakland and winning, and we'll kind of get into kind of the details of that here in a second. And then beating the Riverhounds at home. So, Leha, I always cook. That's why I was a cook in the submarine, dude. No lie. Once a cook, always a cook, man. For the hair. But let's get to the big news. Mohamed Almar called up to the Somalia national team, was not there at the game. And also Shannon Gomez, Trinidad and Tobago for that here. From my understanding and speaking with Royce, Somalia got I don't know if they got a win or a draw, but they got points, which is the first time that they got points in World Cup qualifying. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Scoreless draw, I believe, and he started and looks like he played the full 90 minutes. So congratulations to him. It was supposed to be his first opportunity last year, right when he got that terrible injury in warm-ups in New Mexico. So, nice redemption story there.
So,
those sound effects.
Come on. Had to do it on a clap, dude. Had to do a clap. Shannon through there. To me, the story of the game going in. Oh, I guess it would help if I did this, huh? transition. So you guys were in the camera. A club attendance record and USL record outside of the FCC Cincinnati years. 26,575 Oakland Roots fans showed up. We're doing the wave. There to support SanAntonio FC. Oakland Roots for that here. And as I told my friends that support Rhode Island FC, because that'll be the next opening stadium that SAFC gets to do. Watch out. But shout out to Oakland Roots. 26,575. Too short concert at halftime. And to quote the great Royce, Oakland legend, too short. And I know
Short dog in the house.
Matt and Rafa were both like, making some comments about the legacy of Too Short in a positive manner for that here. So to me, like I said here, what can you say? 26,000. I didn't hear it. I know at the end of the game there was some issues with the fans. We'll just say, Jonathan, you may have heard it because we were in our little watch party here, and we were like, "Hey, why aren't they playing?" But it seemed like a great environment for that here. Any comments you guys have on the fans from Oakland and just having 26,575 at a game?
Probably that only 2,000 of them were only going for the Oakland Roots, and the rest were going to see Too Short. Yeah, that's what I see it as. That's what it was. They wanted to see Too Short.
Oh, come on, dude. I don't think Too Short was announced till later, though, so they wouldn't have known that.
Hey, can we have Too Short play here? I mean, do art because we need better. We need better halftime shows at our games. But it was great to see. But it was great to see the fans out there. I mean, that's a good. That's a positive result for the Roots. You gotta love that for the Roots. To have all those fans there.
I will say this, and I don't know if you guys listened to the Mongols podcast from Pittsburgh. They absolutely ripped our production of the game here, where it was dark, the stadium was light, the announcers were mispronouncing names. So, like I said here, I was a little irritated because I was like, dude, yeah, I know ours isn't perfect, but compared to the rest of them, it's okay. But so if they are going to be going pro rel and going to champion, it is something that they need to work on. Looking at the announced starting 11, a little bit different on the bench. Alex Sohe, Agudelo, Barone, Pacheco, Buckmaster, Nemani, and Dimitri. Starting goalkeeper. They came out in this lineup here. Sanchez, Cronali, Tainer, Jimmy Mondranja. Juan Osorio got the start. Hernandez, so Nicky and Jorge. Soto and Luke. And then up top, LaCava and Grieve. We'll start with you, Jonathan. Any tidbits from Bluish Moon, writings that you did, surprises as far as either on injury reports? I know we already went over the two call-ups for international duties. Anything surprise you about the lineup?
Yeah, well, since you brought it up there, injury report was still clean bill of health. Keep your fingers crossed. Keep praying to whatever deity you choose to keep that going, because that is a very rare sight for SAFC. If you followed them for even just any of the previous years, really. There was we may get into it when we start actually talking about the match. A player did have to come off partway through, Alex Grieve, first goal scorer, but from what it sounds like, from what we've heard through the grapevine, it doesn't sound like it's going to be anything serious. So hopefully another clean injury report next week. As far as the lineup, I mean, it was a 3-5-2, and tactically maybe Rafa particularly would be able to get more into that, what he saw differently, how it changed SAFC. In terms of personnel, though, I mean, with that lineup, you have Grieve, Osorio, and Hawkinson getting their first starts of the season. They'd all been substitutes prior to that. So, as I mentioned, Grieve, the goal scorer, he made it count. And Hawkinson as well. I mean, he'd already gotten a goal off the bench the week before, gets another this week. So especially with those two, you can say, yeah, those changes, they paid off.
Rafa?
Yeah, the lineup they had was a little bit different what they had the last game. Normally we've been playing with a 4-back, but I think going into with this against with the Roots, probably with Yomosa, probably already kind of scouting them already. He felt that this was probably a better lineup, uh, a little more athletic up top. You can say as far as with Grieve up, what he's done
Mm-hmm.
because what he was able to do, and also I think they really wanted to control the midfield here, to kind of keep Oakland out of rhythm, and that's what they did. We basically kind of controlled the game as far as I know we had that little one slip up on the goal, but basically we kind of flexed our muscle throughout the whole game. Even those little they get chippy, the ref kind of let some things go by, but you can tell we didn't miss a beat as far as touching the ball. Even in this formation, we still able to move ball around, up and down, side to side. And like I said, even at the 3-back, we still had our defenders attacking up. So it was a smart move for Yamosa to recognize what Oakland was trying to do the last couple of games and go with this, and it could turn out great.
Matt?
It was great. I mean, I've never really seen us play like that with the five in the middle. I don't think we've ever done that before, but it worked out just great. Hopefully, in some of the stats we see, like we saw last time, maybe it comes out to look different, or practically the same as how we played out the game before.
So I do want to just kind of make fun of USL and their poor graphics.
Scott.
So they have LaCava and Hawkinson up top, Grieve behind them. Not too bad. Soto, they got Jorge as our defensive mid, and then Nicky up top on him. I don't know how you fix these graphics here for that here, but through me, Oakland came out just to kind of go through Wilson, Prentice, Alexiv, Armanacas, Gomez, Gibson, Tyler Gibson, formerly as SanAntonio Scorpions. Rasmussen, we'll get to him in a minute. Hold on, let me somehow move forward here. Hackshaw, Green, former SanAntonio FC, and then McIntosh in the goal for that here. So to me, like I said here, it's through here. Play starts out. Let's see here if it goes to the game. For whatever reason, and it's not just our show. I noticed with Somos Mas playing these videos, it's not playing like it did last year. So that's why we won't do the videos. Hold on, lost my page here. SanAntonio opens the scoring from a Tainer to LaCava to Grieve, who cut it across and got it past McIntosh. Jonathan, you want to go into it, or did you want Rafa to go into it first?
I mean, I'm willing to let Rafa break down anything he sees tactically on that.
I mean, it was just a great breakthrough through the defense. The quick touches, and that's something that we lacked last year. We weren't able to finish a lot on the attacking third for the opponents, and you're starting to see that the little, I'm gonna say like little tiki taka thing, but the through balls, the wall passes, they're finally starting to connect. Which I think we had a little trouble in the first game, but now we're starting to get that rhythm. But I think Grieve really, you can tell he was really active up front, and like I said, Lucava, they had some good chemistry there, and they were getting space, and I think we could have put a little bit more goals after that, but that first goal was textbook. I mean, what more what can you ask for? So, just a great goal by Grieve there.
And just from a game flow perspective, we alluded to this massive crowd that Oakland was able to bring out. If there's any way to kind of dampen that, you get a goal in those first 5 minutes, kind of shush them a little bit.
Here's the
From an
poll. See
actual,
if it goes through.
it's looking all right.
Sort of.
A little choppy. For anyone listening to this just as a audio podcast, enjoy. But yeah, I would also say from Oakland, it felt like their defense was a little sleepy. Didn't necessarily show up those first few minutes, so SAFC has to capitalize off of that, obviously. But you can't necessarily expect every team to do that. So little bit of a break there for SAFC, and maybe you can say, hey, the crowd was so loud that they couldn't communicate or something. I don't know. But great start for SAFC and taking advantage of the defense just kind of standing there, not really making a move to stop this attack, I guess you could say. But then a couple minutes later.
Yeah, a couple of minutes later, we do give up a bicycle. Now, I want to call out the bicycle or the play that led up to it. So that they scored off of a corner kick, but in my opinion, the defender
He backed off.
he had time. I don't know what else to say. He had time, but to just kick it out like that, we had a kind of a watch party just with us, and if anybody wants to join, let us know for that here, and we'll let you know if we have one. But to me, I was like, oh, that's not good, because number one, we had just scored. We're giving them a set piece, and we save it initially, but then you got to give credit to what's his name,
The one who scored it, Rasmussen.
Yeah, Rasmussen, who did a clean bike. There was nothing that Sanchez could do, just other than watch it and go, well done. But it brought the crowd back in 2 minutes after SanAntonio had scored. Just to me, that whole goal was set up by the error that led to the corner, of not just kicking it out but giving up the corner. Matt, your thoughts, and then Rafa, if you want to chime in on that.
I mean, you've seen them do it before, and I don't know if it's just me being light on it. It's I mean, it just happened. Bottom line, it just happened. But at the end of the day, I mean, no one's gonna stop a bike. You can't get in front of them without getting penalized or something. So
the goal was awesome.
It was a clean bike. Yeah,
we were all like, holy shit.
But if you look at the replay, yeah, you got to give credit to it. It was a great shot. But if you look at the replay, one of our players gave him that space. If he pressures him, if he presses him, that shot probably gets rushed and probably goes over the crossbar. And when he allowed those few seconds to kind of get settled to make a clean kick, like I said, that was nothing on Sanchez that he can do. But if you watch the play, if he at least pressures him, gets makes him rush that shot, that ball doesn't go in. So
yeah, I think it was Tainer post match in the interviews was kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, where he sort of says, okay, yeah, we tip our hats to them. It was a very well executed bicycle kick, but at the same time he acknowledges, yeah, if we look at that, maybe we are able to make some better decisions, close them down better. So that's something that you don't want to allow if you're SAFC, and it's the third game of the season, so everyone's still making little mistakes here, learning lessons. So you'd hope that you don't see that going in deeper to the season. Yeah.
But I'll answer Sam before we continue. Hey, We can't afford Too Short. It's SS&E. We'll get someone like freaking Amy
Uh,
Quintanilla or someone.
They'll
We're
boo
not
him.
getting anybody good,
They'll
dude.
boo him as well, like they booed
This module that I'm like we're starting to see more. I I I'm telling you, man. I don't know what it is that fascinates me about it, but it seems like they're consistent in where they're passing, and
Well,
and and
it's
I'm loving it.
diagonal run. It's diagonal runs. It's what you've seen. Last year was just straight, direct. It was basically predictable. Here you
yes,
see
basically
the
it went from this spot over here to where Tainer was to LaCava, who was playing on the side here, who took it here and then crossed it back to Grieve, who made the run across the box to get in. Um, I know the president of the Juan Agudelo fan club isn't here. I don't know if Agudelo gets to that ball. I don't know if he has the speeds or the legs to do it, and I'm not trying to discount him, but Grieve is a little bit faster, and Grieve got to the ball, made adjustments, and then had a hell of a shot to score for that here. The next big play that we have to talk about. Speaking of Alex Grieve, was around the 28th minute, 30th minute somewhere. He went into the box. McIntosh just cleaned him out with the cleats. Robert was on our chat saying, "Hey, no foul." Like I said here through here, I thought it should have been a red card for it here because he absolutely cleated him up in I think it was in the thigh area where he ended up getting hit right up in there.
It looked right
And
above the knee.
And if that would have been a player out in the middle of the field, it would have been a red card. But because it's a goalkeeper, and I understand you got to protect goalkeepers, but you also got to protect the field players as well. So Alex Reeves gets subbed out. Dogo Pacheco comes in. And then in the 39th minute, Dogo Pacheco gets a yellow card for clipping
McIntosh.
Kendall McIntosh. And I want to be very careful because I'm not a doctor. But on the video, McIntosh initially got up, then kind of swayed, came back down, and then was cleared to come back and play for that here. So, he passed the stuff there. But to me, number one, I didn't think it should have been a yellow. If you're not gonna, if you're not gonna give a yellow card, if you're not gonna protect our player, who had a right to the ball, who just got cleaned out. I thought it should have been a red, for that here. Diet Coke 210. From our understanding, Greaves is okay. I don't, obviously we don't know if he'll be on the injury report or not. I'm assuming it depends on how recovery, because I have a feeling it's going to be probably one of those deep thigh bruises that through here. So, barring anything unforeseen since they got back in town, but if he is out, I would expect it to be short term if he does miss any time. But Rafa, you're a goalkeeper. Robert said that it wasn't a foul. Shouldn't have been not even a card on McIntosh. And he kind of understood the yellow card on Pacheco just because it was foot to the head area when he went down. I thought it was a 50-50 play. Your thoughts on that? Because I know you got to protect the goalkeeper, but
you can tell Pacheco wasn't doing it on purpose. Like he had bad intentions. He was making a play for the ball because the ball was still in play, and just unfortunate that ended up hitting something else. But I mean, that's just as far as a yellow card, maybe a little harsh. Yeah, I'll call it a foul, but he didn't have any bad intentions of hurting him.
Well, it just came on as well. It was his
Yeah.
first foul.
and it shouldn't just been kind of maybe they can rescind it. Who knows? Because like I said, it was nothing malicious about that. But luckily it was not a red or something. Knowing some of these
Yeah.
USL refs how they are. But I mean, it is what it is. But to me, it wasn't a dirty play or malicious. He was entitled to try to get that ball, and they just just had that.
But it makes you wonder, even with McIntosh getting up and wobbling, how does that not scream like put a red flag like you need this guy out? You know what I mean? That's just
because he
concern for
did
the
wobble
goalkeeper.
when you watch.
But
yeah.
Why don't you take him out if?
And
he
we're not
wobbles?
doctors, by the way, so
that's just plain.
They probably hit him with the
common
smelling
sense.
salts or something.
Probably, but at the same time, even with him having studs out towards Greaves, I mean,
see, that play should have been a card, and I honestly think should have been a red because he wasn't playing the ball. He plays Greaves on. That shit really should have been. If there was VAR, they probably would have checked it, and he probably would have gone to red because it studs up. Compared to what Pacheco did.
Hindsight is 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's nothing like I said here. To me, like to me, as long as Grieve is healthy, that's the big thing for me is to make sure that he comes home healthy and able to start the next match or at least be off the bench the next match for that here. At half, it was 1-1. Stayed that way for a while. And then in the 69th minute, Luke Hawkinson scores. And this is kind of a demo play for it here. Your thoughts on the Luke Hawkinson goal here?
It's a great goal for him. He's quote unquote the leading scorer of the team.
That too.
Like I said, last year he just got played out of position. I think here you can tell he's very comfortable with his role and he's excelling, man. And like I said, I think this is just the beginning of kind of like a breakout party for him. He's really embracing where Mosa has him at, and he's going to be deadly all season long, and he's taking full advantage of the opportunities he's getting.
Yeah, Jason Miranda saying Grave had a dead thigh. Should be okay. Kind of that thigh bruise that I was saying here, but let's see here.
But I think in terms of all the players that were returning, I feel like Yamosa is saying, y'all can play what you're used to playing. I'm not gonna try to move you around just yet. So I'm wondering now that's why these players are feeling more comfortable where they're at. I'm wondering if that's a question to be asked as well.
And here's kind of the grainy goal here. I can play videos all day with the exception when I do the podcast here. I don't understand it. But a nice little chip over McIntosh, who just lowered his head and walked away. Although there is a funny meme guy here. The guy in yellow. And SAFC did capitalize on him. Kudos to the guy in yellow, though. I'll give him credit, though. That would have been something that I would have done.
That was a nice little flick right there by Pacheco to set it up.
That yellow guy was basically Robert. On
yeah, 100%.
That's basically Robert.
So, and hello, Sam 112. So after that, Lacava got subbed out for Dimitri. Asario got subbed out for Suaje. And Madrando got subbed out for Barone. Am I pronouncing that right, Jonathan? Barone?
Barone,
I believe so, yes. Lucio Barone.
So, Oh, I didn't know Sanchez got a time wasting yellow for that here at the end of the game. They switched back to their the five in the back with
The 5-3-2.
so Suahe. Are you guys kind of surprised at how often Barone plays, for being a trialist to being one of the first subs off, or
I think
as the first sub?
I think he's really earned Jamos's trust, and also if you look what I guess our sporting director he has, I guess, firsthand knowledge of what he can do. So I think out of the combination of that, because even in the preseason games, he did well. He was very active. He was up and down. Um, so I think it's good for him to come into these games because, like I said, God forbid that we get any injuries. He's gonna come. He may have to step in that role in that position and play. So it's good minutes for these younger guys, especially on his side. But I think it's the trust. I think Yamosa is giving him that trust. Say, hey, do your thing there and run with it.
Yeah, earning Yamosa's trust, I think, is pretty much a spot on way to phrase it, because when Barone's signing was officially announced, I pointed out that his name had actually been mentioned multiple times by Yamosa in interviews as sort of a player that had impressed him so far in preseason. And it was this weird kind of dissonance, because it was like, okay, well, if he's impressing you so much, why haven't you signed him yet? Because SAFC would say, like, hey, so he hasn't actually been signed yet. So even though Carlos used his name, could you maybe not mention it? But he eventually did earn that contract. He impressed Yamosa enough to get name dropped a couple times in preseason.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really is just down to that, like what he is doing in training and in the little bits we get to see in matches. Carlos is happy.
And I didn't highlight this here, but I wanted to go back to it here. Ewan Matsu, Jimmy is going to be an all-league player by the end of the year if healthy. I think he's been probably one of the best signings for SanAntonio FC this offseason. I won't lie to you, Grieve kind of surprised me because maybe I got suckered into the one shot that he had that was just poor. But as a striker, you have those. And then the comments, but to me, Jimmy Madronda's has done really, really, really well. AJ, just kind of how he watches it, he's been really impressed with Soto for that here and how he commands that defensive midfield spot here, which is the position that he plays. Matt, any thoughts on, because we are 3 games in, so, we've seen kind of the players. We've seen a little bit of the rotation, a little surprise wrinkle on this one here, which, to be honest with you, is a good thing, I think, just because that way it makes it harder to game plan. I know we were kind of joking how, hey, it's the same lineup consistency, but having that little rotation, going into Lexington this week, I think gives them a little bit something else to think about. But your thoughts on either surprise players or surprise out of the first 3 games where they've got the 9 points, 7 goals, only allowed 1, which is what bike.
I think this is 2022 all over again. It feels like.
No.
Hold up. Let me finish. Let me finish. I think he's gonna keep switching up his his lineups again.
No.
I think this is what might be happening, because, just saying, if we're not being consistent on who we're having out there, I mean, the only thing is we're not playing. What he's doing, we're not playing hybrid players.
Mm-hmm. What he's doing is he's like, for this game, this is a different tactical game going into Oakland, and that's why they went to a 3-5-2, because he saw something on film that he can exploit. And when he put the player, there's a reason why, like I said, Aguadero didn't play in this game. Just leave it that. And you saw also Osorio start too.
Mm-hmm.
And Osorio, if you watched him play, he was an enforcer. He has a little mean streak in there, and kind of a little bit like PC, but I would say without the cards. So I think he fully understood.
Well, he may
you know,
get the cards. He just didn't in this
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Sorio,
But
I think, did get a card.
did he? I think he did get.
Actually, he did.
No?
Yeah, 15th
He
minute,
did.
he got the first card of the
Okay.
game.
He can
Oh,
get
but
one
he
like
was PC.
PC in the tradition of PC.
Oh, when
I
he
guess.
pulled him around. No, he flat out pulled him around, where he grabbed the jersey and just turned him.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yes.
it's just what you're seeing is that I think the approach that Yamosa is doing compared to last year, he's really watching what his opponents, what they can do, put the right people in place, and that way he can exploit their weaknesses, but also shore up areas that he knows. Okay, this person can stop them from what our the goal is to play our style, not to play their style, and that's what we did Saturday night. We basically controlled the game. You know, Oakland looked like a recreation team out there.
They
Just
looked
don't
all
want.
right.
Well, they looked like one except for that one lucky goal. But like I said, we kind of outpaced them, out hustled them, um, and I think that's the mindset moving forward. Is what he's going to start doing is really analyzing what's the best matchups, who is the players that can fit that and exploit the weaknesses against those teams.
So our final comment or final question on SAFC, and then we are going to switch to the Pro Rel discussion here. Thoughts? Our keeper has been good. Yes, Sanchez has been really, really good. Now, he still has his moments, in my opinion. But, and this is going to get me in trouble. When Jordan Farr came in, people forget he was kind of a mid-level goalkeeper in Indy. He rotated. He didn't have the starting job in Indy. He came. We had a great defense in front of him, which made him look a whole lot better. And I'm not saying the talent wasn't there. Just when you have, we've seen it when you have that back line, that final line of defense, it makes the job of being a goalkeeper so much easier. And Rafa can go into a lot more details on that. But Sanchez, to me, like I said, I didn't think he was a starter. But 3 games in, he's done everything that's been asked. His distribution's been solid. It hasn't been great, but he hasn't made the mistakes. There's a couple of them there was a couple of them where you're like, oh, hold on here. But so far, he has been able to weather the storms, and I think a lot of it has to do with the defense in front of him. We'll go with you, Matt, and then Rafa, or if Jonathan wants to chime in, and then we'll have Rafa finish up on Sanchez and the goalkeeper.
I mean, the back line is pretty solid. We can agree to that. I mean, Mitchell doing amazing quick saves. You have
Cronali.
Bitcoin. Yeah, I
Cronali.
keep thinking want to call him Bitcoin, but Cronali's doing great as well. Just getting in front of people. But I mean, it's what you wanted from your line. You're getting what you want out of those center backs. So and like and no discredit to Sanchez, but hey man, you got a first line of defense before they come to you. So he's taking it all in as much as possible. I'm hoping.
And he's got a shirt to match with the mustache. Jonathan?
Yeah, Sanchez has kind of, I know Harry was very hesitant when he came in last season, but then Sanchez was able to get 2 clean sheets in those 3 matches that he played for SAFC, kind of as an emergency signing like that. And I don't really remember him having to do that much in those situations either. Same kind of thing with the start of this season. He hasn't really been tested much. So in terms of what he's doing, you can't necessarily sing his praises. He's not necessarily team of the week, but if nothing else, he's there kind of marshaling the defense. Couldn't really do too much about that goal the weekend, like we said, and that was basically the second shot on target he had faced all season. That's a real testament to what not even just the defense, but the 10 players in front of him have done. because he's referenced it. Carlos Simos has referenced it. This is a team that wants to have everyone with some sort of defensive responsibility, kind of like SAFC of past years, where you start that press up at the top. You're trying to get possession, since this is a more possession-based SAFC team, and it really does start up there. And if they're not able to get it, it goes to the defense or the midfield. And in this case, a 5-man midfield. You kind of pack the numbers in there. You're trying to keep them from even getting to that last line of defense. And then when you get to that last line of defense, Cronali's a solid defender. Tainer, we know, is a solid defender, and he's really looked top notch so far this year. And Medranda has so much experience, and he's more than capable of doing it. So even just having those three as that last line of defense, if you end up getting to them, you will have already dealt with what SAFC throws at you, and then you have to get past those three. That's a daunting task for any opponents.
And let's not forget Soto, who drops pretty deep as well to kind of, to me, fills that little bit of the Kamiri role in the middle. Rafa, your thoughts on the goalkeeper, since you're our residential goalkeeper, since Robert can't bother to show up to practice?
Well, one thing I could say, nice T-shirt. I don't know if that was a Freddie Mercury or someone's DWI mugshot, but I mean, what are you going to say about the like I said, I always tell it when I coach, when they score a goal, I always tell my team, if they score, tell my goals, if they score you, it's because it's your defense. Unless you make a bonehead mistake, it's defense. And what the defense is doing compared to last year, they're not making the same bonehead mistakes like they were. They're actually sacrificing. And if you notice, we were actually blocking a lot of shots before they even go off, and we're closing the space. And I think that's something Yamos has really kind of installed them. Hey, you lose the ball, you go get it back, or get back on defense, and don't give them space, and close it up. And that's why I think the reason why maybe, Sanchez hasn't seen many shots on target is because of that, and then, which is a good thing. As long as we keep on doing that, we're gonna win a lot. Especially like a 1-0 game, or like this game was 2-1. It's gonna pay off at the end. But like I said, Sanchez is doing great. Still more room for improvement. But like I said, we have a great goalkeeping coach, Juan La Madrid. I'm sure he's learning a lot from him, and he's just gonna get better. But like I said, one thing I do see is our defensive guys, and you can even tell Mitch has an extra step, a little pep on his step. He's really, doing a lot of things, compare what happened last year. And I know Matt had a lot of complaints about one certain player, but on the defense,
he's a Burks hater. Let's just call it.
I'm not afraid to say it. It's freaking Burks, man. I got him on the Dynamo right now.
Well, maybe this coming week he'll do his mistakes and we'll score.
Say damn number 2, freaking 24.
We'll get some goals. We'll get some goals this week.
Jesus.
But like I said, kudos to the defense. Like I said, and also the guys coming back, closing space, and like I said, it's all it's kudos to the coaching staff, really believing it.
Here's Coach Kana, Hala Madrid Femenal.
Go like to coach tomorrow. Coach. Beat Cedar Park.
Yeah, good luck,
the
Coach.
McDonald's Wi-Fi this time.
Yeah, I don't have the McDonald's Wi-Fi.
Burks was the problem, Matt. No, he wasn't. But anyways,
thank you,
dude. You probably text him. You probably text Robert. Hey, put this in the chat.
Heck no. I'm just spitting the
check is in the mail.
Burks. Oh my god, dude. He was amazing, but he had too many mess ups coming back. But that's a whole nother story.
So let's move to the other historic story broken by Paul Torino from the Athletic / New York Times, whatever it's called nowadays. After the historic USL vote, promotion, relegation in USA to become a reality, supermajority, which I've heard through some sources that it's about 90% of owners did, so around 10% didn't. If you go to reports there, basically after USL announced US Div 1, USL Division 1 The excitement from the fans and teams to really spurred this as they got together and voted to have Pro Rel. It's good. I think they're talking about 27, 28 time frame is the time frame that they're looking to do this. I'm just going to caution people. Especially from a San Antonio aspect. Let's not just automatically assume that San Antonio is going to get into Division One. I think they should be, but in order to get Division One, they are going to have to either upgrade or find a stadium that's over 15,000. I know somebody, Royce, wants the Alamo Dome. We know Toyota Field can be upgraded. They're building a couple of new stadiums. We'll have to see. I personally think that San Antonio FC, and I was talking to somebody that I know, is I don't know if San Antonio is one of the teams that voted for it, because I see that they're very conservative, at least in my opinion. They don't like taking a lot of risks. They'd rather have other organizations take the risk. If it passes, they will reap the benefits of it, because then they will, hey, if I've got to come in and do it, then I will do what I need to do to take advantage of it. So I think from a San Antonio FC aspect, it's still very to be determined. I wouldn't automatically assume that San Antonio FC is going to go Division One. I think they're more likely to stay. If I was a betting man today, I would say that they would be in USL Championship and then hope to get promoted up. From an aspect from the league, there's a lot of work that's going to come into this. One, they've got to get the Division One off here. From sources and reports that I'm hearing, it's not just going to be USL Championship clubs. There will be new clubs that will buy into that US Div 1 for that, which kind of makes sense because there's not a lot of USL Championship clubs that can qualify here. So I'm excited for it. I want Pro Rel. It is not a true Pro Rel because it is still USL only for that here. So let's also put that out there here. I think it's a great first step. For me personally, I think it's a step that USL had to take, or they were going to get eaten alive by MLS, because I do believe MLS was going to do a Division II league. The other great thing that's coming out of this here from reports is, so they want to have USL Div 1, which will be national, USL Championship, which will be national, but then they want to have USL League 1 as more regional, and I think you're going to start to see a lot of the USL League 2 teams move up, like Corpus, maybe like RGV Red Crowns. Make sure I say that right. Maybe they come in if they do go USL. Maybe even like Laredo Heat, maybe up North Hill Country Lobos for that here, along those lines here. Sam, to answer your question, what does this do for MLS? Does it put them on notice? Do we see? No, it doesn't do anything for MLS right now. Because number one, we need to see if it'll work in the United States. It works throughout the world. I understand that, but the United States, will people come out and do it? The only way that I think it brings MLS into it is if USL really takes off and it's that ratings boom TV for that here. But I think let's be honest. MLS has had 30 years where they got off to a slow start. They had some bumps. MLS Matt can confirm that there is quite a bit of talent with his USL Houston Dynamo team in the league now for that here at the level that they're playing.
They ain't come after me, why don't you?
Ouch.
I'm not lying, dude. they
It's
they,
not.
they,
You're
they
right.
didn't reload. They have not reloaded. They lost players too late in the year. I think for MLS, it's something that they're looking at, but I don't think. To me, I'm hoping USL isn't doing this for MLS. I'm hoping USL is doing this for USL and the potential of what it can do. I personally think that they're going to do Pro Rel. They're going to have the Div 1, and then I do think that they will also be doing a calendar switch, because the only reason why that makes sense is that if you want to become a sailing league, to go onto the FIFA calendar or the rest of them. And I think what you're seeing that with USL Super League, they're testing that out now. Now, whether that all happens in 2026, 27, 28, 29, how fast that happens, this is U.S. soccer. Wait and see for that here. We'll go, Matt, your views on Pro Rel, since you're MLS, then Jonathan, and then Rafa. We'll bring you in because, like I said, not that you've experienced, relegation with clubs that you've selected for that here, but just with your experience with Mexico and how Pro Rel goes there. Matt, go ahead.
I mean, Pro Bowl is probably going to be the best thing that's happened to USL. I mean, we are in competition with MLS. There's no doubt about it. But you could see everybody frustrated and getting antsy about how MLS is treating I guess what they got, and then seeing how USL is just pretty much trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? They're trying to appease their fans. They're trying to make it, hey, let's bring you in. We're like, they're trying to get more of the attention to pretty much push away MLS. Is how I'm seeing it. Because if MLS wanted to do this, they should have done it already. Let's be honest. But at the end of the day, hopefully, hopefully there's. When I first saw the Project Marvel, I thought that Alamo Dome looked like a soccer stadium at the time, but I'm not gonna push for it. I'm not gonna say please, oh please, but if it happens, it happens, and if that's what's the underlying story of the dome, I mean, I'm okay with it, but at the same time, I'm not working for the city parking side, so yeah, that's the only scary part about it. But nevertheless, if we do get something out of this regulation going on, I hope it benefits the city, and hopefully it pushes San Antonio FC's name out there a little bit more, maybe even up to where we're talking about the Spurs and San Antonio FC at the same time, because they do deserve the credit that they've been doing. And to answer Juan's question, will we fill the dome? I don't see it happening, but would you get a good crowd out of it? Maybe.
Well, go ahead, Jonathan. Then we'll circle back to anyone's comment here.
Yeah. So kudos to USL for saying the buzzword promotion relegation, and everyone loses their minds. Listen, voting on this, even in overwhelming numbers, saying you're going to do this is one thing. Actually making it happen is a whole other thing. Whenever people hear Pro Rel, they think, oh, how awesome would it be for our team to get promoted? No one ever wants to think about, man, it would really suck if our team got relegated. And that is, you literally have a balance of those teams. That's the whole idea, is that the worst teams are going to get pushed down. So that's not going to be great for them. People have talked about how, this is how you get teams folding, because all of a sudden, they're not going to be drawing as many people. They're not going to get players that are as good. From that perspective, that no one wants to think about, it's going to be the bad side of this. But also, just for teams that are getting promoted, the U.S. Soccer Federation has pro league standards where you have to have stadiums that are so large. You have to just be in an area that's large enough. And so all of a sudden, how many teams are going to win USL or get promoted, but they don't meet the standards. So what happens then? How are we going to address that? Take last year's champions, for example, Colorado Springs Switchbacks. I doubt that their metro area is enough. I think it has to be like
It's not.
exactly. No. There you go. And in terms of their stadium, we talked about how SAFC could expand Toyota Field if they had to. What are the Switchbacks going to do? They have an 8,000 seat stadium in the middle of downtown Colorado Springs. You're not going to be able to expand that. That's not going to happen. So again, these are great buzzwords, but logistically, it's not nearly as easy as people want it to be. It's just not. You don't wave a wand and it magically happens. It's
Come
just,
on, dude. You're a hater, man. I want to play the sad trombo, but I won't do that here.
Thank God. But yeah, just also, I'd like to point out something. A certain way to phrase or frame this vote is second and third division team owners vote in favor of the opportunity to move up to D1. Because when you think about it, who's doing this vote? It's a bunch of USL Championship and USL League One owners. League One especially, I wouldn't be surprised if all of them voted in favor of promotion, because they're like, hell yeah, we're already on the bottom rung. We'll take the opportunity to even just go up to the championship. That would be cool. So I just want to point out here, the people voting on it, as soon as Division 1 is involved, everyone says, oh, yeah, we're totally in favor of this. We've always been in favor of this. Of course. Why wouldn't we want to get promoted up to D1 and play with whatever teams that they find for this league? I just want to remind people of that. It's a bunch of lower division owners voting with those stars in their eyes. They don't want to think about the reality of it.
So here's what I'm going to push back on you, Jonathan, on. By doing this vote, the USL is committing to getting this off the leg, to do this, whether it fails or not. If they fail to even get it off the ground, it will kill Pro Rel in the United States for another 50 years. We'll just say. I also personally think it'll kill USL as well. Because what's the incentive of staying in USL when you can go over to the MLS side of it, where they won't have promotion and relegation, but by all extent, the costs are cheaper over there. So, to me, for USL, this is it's a high risk, high reward type situation for that here. Rafa, hopefully you're not as sad trombone as Jonathan Check was. For there were Diet Coke 2 tins. Like, come on, John, for that here. So, but your thoughts on it? Like I said here.
I guess in 3, it's a good thing because, like I said, Liga MX is about to adopt that in 2026. So they're gonna start we're gonna bring back pro relegation.
But let me ask you a question. Because the problem in Mexico, you could be a team in Liga MX, get quote unquote relegated down, and buy your way back in. Are they bringing that Pro Rel back, or is it going to be like the traditional where the team is going to have to go down?
I mean, if you're talking about Chivas, this should have been relegated. Sorry to the
but
Chivas
you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, I think I think Jonathan brought up a good point as far as like with stadiums, especially the demographics as far as the teams we're in. Like, for example, like you're gonna have Ozarks coming in from Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a prime example there. You're gonna have a Division 1 team there. It's not really a big area. Same thing with Omaha. Omaha's coming in. Who's the next team that's going to be coming in? Well, supposedly New Orleans was supposed to come in.
Well, New Orleans.
Now, it's probably dead on the water. But like I said, if you go out to maybe a team like Milwaukee, maybe Cleveland, and then I know that I've been hearing, bring back the New York Cosmos, bring back the New York. I mean,
they do need to bring back the Cosmos. They do need to bring back the Cosmos.
I mean, then you have 3 teams there, which, I mean, I think in the end, MLS, I hope this doesn't happen, doesn't try to absorb those USL teams to make it into their second division. I think that's
But they're already
kind of
doing that though. That's why the Indy Stadium deal, I think, was a big thing for USL, where Indy had their stadium getting ready to break ground, and then MLS reached out to the mayor, "Hey, come to New York." They wined and dined him, and now he canceled that deal, and he's flirting with MLS for that here. While Indy's kind of back in limbo. So from a USL aspect, they had to do something different just
yeah.
to do that. But
I mean, he's not getting suckered in like Precourt what they did to us, because that's what basically it sounds like. Sounds like it.
I think he is, but but that's why USL has to do something. But Jonathan's right. I want Pro Rel, but for the sickos out there that are like, "Hey, Pro Rel or bust," it's not like that, because I guarantee you, if the owners in England today were starting their league out or as where it is in the United States, they wouldn't be doing Pro Rel. They would be locking in their rights, and you're already kind of seeing it in the Premier League, where they're absorbing more and more and more power. You just look at the Big Six, and the struggles that Newcastle's having to be able to do it, because they want to protect those clubs. And like I said here, that's why the Super League came about, just where they can protect those clubs here, because there's just so much money. And like I said, if we're honest, that's what it's all about. For USL to go Pro Rel, it's about the money. They're making a bet that they can get more fans, because and Ewan is right. The league was getting stale. This is really needed, and there's a lot of evidence to that. Players' wages are kind of stabilizing. The size of the teams is kind of stabilizing. Instead of carrying 23, 24, they're now carrying 21, 22 for that here. Passing on MLS in 25 is the powers of side. Yeah, that'll go down as one of the worst decisions here in San Antonio, is passing in 2005. But Houston Matt benefited from that, so I guess there is that. So.
Hey, that's when I became a Dynamo fan. I'm not even gonna lie. That was my first Dynamo game.
You can blame Harburger for that.
But you really gotta think about it. In San Antonio, are we gonna push? Like, let's put it up for like how they're doing it to the Missions. Are you really gonna make that statement and push a narrative just to have something?
But they're building the Mission Stadium too small.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but my point: are they really going to elevate Toyota Field, or you're going to really throw these guys into the dome?
Well, you can literally elevate Toyota Field, because you can see they already said they're going to be expanded. This is weren't they also trying the idea of bringing Major League Baseball to San Antonio? That was kind of a rumor floating around, and they did bring a game at the Alamo Dome, which was just did kind of look weird playing there, but they were flirting around having a big baseball stadium downtown, or bringing a Major League Baseball team, or getting a team to relocate. So I think I wouldn't be surprised. I guess I can say this: if they're Florentino was toying with the idea with the Super League, I wouldn't be surprised if there ends up a Super League here in the U.S., like a North American Super League between the Liga MX and MLS. You're going to get the top money teams into one league, and then the rest are going to be your quote unquote second division. And I think out of that will probably start your Pro Rel with the MLS teams.
Yeah, but how much longer is MLS even going to be in the limelight? We don't even know how much longer.
That's why
this so-called Miami team is going to stay together.
But there'll be another team. There'll be another team. Yeah. You got LA, you got New York. Like, I know we don't like to talk about it. Dallas has done okay, kind of on their rebuild. Although, if you really look at Dallas, they're just trying to survive right now, because they've got half a stadium, I think, because Toyota Stadium is under upgrades. So they're like 10, 11,000 for their attendance. Austin FC's reloaded this year, and they're playing much better. The Dynamo, is in the process of reloading. We'll see what they do. I think this year they're going to be really horrible. And like I said, the Dynamo and Dash need to figure out what the hell they're doing because it's not working, and especially on the Dash side, it's unexcusable for as poorly as they've been run. In my opinion, you can tell I watched too many Dynamo and Dash podcasts to know that for that here. But final thoughts here, or any final thoughts on Pro Rels, SAFC versus Oakland on Saturday. We are going to do the Saturday morning preview with against Lexington. I'm hoping to have somebody on from Lexington, probably in a pre-recorded spot here, because I don't want to have them wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning their time if we do it at 7 like we try to do. So it'll probably be pre-recorded for that to kind of get a little knowledge about Lexington, who SanAntonio FC plays this week before next week with Jonathan's checking something. Are they in the East Coast?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, okay, so we know for sure that Harry doesn't understand how time zones work.
They are in the East Coast.
They are in the East, so it would actually be like an hour later in the morning
for
them.
That's right, an hour later. Yeah, my bad. I was thinking Mountain Time, but yeah.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, I messed that one up. But yeah, I had an hour just the wrong direction. But final thoughts, Jonathan, you go first since you're being kind of crotchety on this show here.
Since I have to push my glasses up my nose and say, actually. Yeah, I mean, going back to SAFC, it feels like we've spent 20, 30 minutes away from, the namesake team of this podcast for decent reason. But anyway, good start to the season. Maybe not, certainly not perfect. We mentioned it in there. Like, you see some mistakes here and there. You see maybe sometimes they're not always capitalizing on the chances they get. But you're 3 games into the season. I believe SAFC is the only perfect team still. So, start as you mean to go on. I think it'll be interesting when you see deeper into the season, in particular, when teams kind of find their rhythm, their stride, and we know who the actual good teams are. It'll be interesting to see who's actually able to test SAFC, because I think there are definitely more difficult matches to come. I feel like they've maybe had a bit of a friendly start to the season, shall we say. But all you can do is take it one game at a time. It's kind of a cliche that players and coaches will say, but you really do have to just get 3 points each week, each time you step on the field. That's what makes a good season, is adding all that up. And I guess I will also just kind of tease people if they didn't see today. It looks like SAFC may have leaked news about an international friendly earlier by mistake. They accidentally sent out a notification on the app, and at one point on the home screen of the app it showed May 31st hosting Las Palmas, the team that SAFC has a partnership with, the Spanish team that SAFC has that partnership with. If so, I mean, we kind of expected that, but maybe pencil that in on your calendar. The fact that they ended up having to pull it down is maybe an indication possibly that they're going to change something up, but my guess is more than likely they just accidentally put that out there. Maybe it wasn't finalized yet. Maybe they were waiting to make that announcement, but I mean, if you made a graphic, it seems relatively safe to assume that, yeah, they're probably going to try and do it that day. So interesting, kind of funny for that to get leaked if it's true, and it seems like it is.
Well, we know it's true. It's just a matter of the time here. Hi, long time listener, first time commenter. Are you all shocked as me as that SAFC won without Agudelo playing?
Hey, he was on the bench where he belongs, my guy.
Kind of where you are. Oh, what's that purple? Yeah. Love you, Robert. Hopefully everything's good with you and your family for that hair and work is going great for you. Matt, your final thought. I know next Sunday, 3 p.m. Kickoff. Any plans from the supporters group that you can tease as of yet for the game against Phoenix on big CBS, or still kind of in the works?
For sure, I hope we do the damn pinata, bro. We need to get that thing out there already.
Well, if it would
Hopefully
stop
there's no
windy.
big. Yeah, hopefully it's not windy, and hopefully I can remember to take the right rope. But yeah, on that day, they're just planning out what we want to cook. But I mean, as far as that, hey, we're popping beers like Robert before 12, and then Rafa's gonna be has his sticker. So, yeah, Robert's gonna be happy, man. And we're all gonna be drinking beers before 12.
Beers
But
or
yeah,
mimosas? Like,
it's Fernandez. I mean, hey, mimosas, whatever you want. Just we're gonna be drinking early. That's
Yeah,
all I
most
know.
of
But yeah,
that's
for
pretty
sure. I
good,
know.
Rafa.
But for sure, yeah, I know we're gonna do the pinata, and we're just figuring out the menu of what we want to make that day. But I do want to give a shout out to all the guys. Last game, especially, well, FTC and 210, and of course the corner kick mafia on the other side. I'll acknowledge them. I know they're a little group, but hey,
Yeah, they were all over the
they do
chat
their
here.
best. They do their best on that side, from what I hear.
The corner kick
But yeah,
212
yes,
Mafia.
the corner kick mafia. I give them their props, man. They do just as much damage as we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man, I'm happy for what's going on with the season. It looks great standing on top of the table, but let's just keep what we got going and keep it rolling. I mean, let's just keep going.
And Sam says, "Well, thanks, Matt. Corner kick Mafia 112." Rafa, maybe you'll visit me in 114 this week here in our seats here, but do enjoy you drumming. For that here, especially with Dynamo Matt up in Austin, checking out his other favorite team for that here.
That's Royce.
Rafa, high school soccer, we've seen some interesting results today. SanAntonio winning at the buzzer, and I mean literally at the buzzer. Coach Cano just tweeted that Lumberton scored, and I saw the play with 10 seconds left. To me, the big match in town, and I know Coach is playing tomorrow, but to me, Ferris, 7 o'clock or 6, 7 or 6, Southwest and Piper. To me, for 5A programs, two of the best programs for the last few years, will be a great match, even if you're not a fan of them. What other matches are you looking at, or high school wise? And then I'm not sure if you and I are doing a show this week, because I know
probably maybe we can do one Wednesday. Maybe we'll have a guest. Like I said,
maybe Wednesday. Yeah.
I do have an update out of Seguin. Cedar Park Vista Ridge did beat San Antonio Reagan 2-1. Reagan's out of the playoffs, but I think Cedar Ridge is one of the teams. I know we in bracketology. If you did watch bracketology, which you still can, I think we had them going deep. So, but kudos to Reagan on the great season.
Damn,
I guess not. So, but kudos to Reagan, great season. They won a district title because they didn't make the playoffs last year. So kudos to them. I'm sure there'll be a team to kind of keep an eye on for next year. But also good luck to all the other teams. We had some other Dynamite games. Also, shout out to Southwest Legacy's got a tough game against Leander Glenn.
Harlandale.
They got a tough one too. The J Girls and at Swinson Valley. So that should be a good game. Coach Cano's team, MacArthur, they're going up to Wimberley, plays against
doubleheader, right?
Yeah, this is a doubleheader there. I think because Madison's playing, I believe Bowie.
Yeah, I'm not too after them, right? Because they play the early game.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of games around town, and then Thursday. I don't expect any games Thursday because of the weather. I think we're expecting a lot of rain, so I wouldn't be surprised we see some games on maybe Friday, maybe even maybe some Saturday. So that's just to kind of keep an eye out. So be safe out there this kind of weekend. out there with the rain and so forth. I'll be in Victoria on Friday and Saturday, but I'll be back in the evening. But like I said, it's heating up. A lot of great games, even statewide. If you watched 50-50 podcast last night, we kind of highlighted some of the top area games in the for the second round, and then state. And then I think Steve sent me a message about. So far we're 81% correct on our picks, which sounds this is not too
we
bad.
did have a couple big ones though. Allen going out in the first round, which we had as a state champion.
And Katie Jordan too.
It did not go well.
But I did call SanAntonio.
You and Coach Kano kind of got some fun feedback from.
But I did get the one for South. What's it called? SanAntonio Central. I got that one right, and I got Grapevine right too. So, but fun. It's all fun. So if you have a chance, if you're in San Antonio, like I said, not only if you support SAFC, support also your high school teams too. Go out there, especially, like I said, there's some games here in town. Go to them, especially this one. Like I said, this one in Ferris, and would have been nice at some other venue, but we're not going to go further than that. Field. But yeah, but hey, go to Ferris Stadium. Should be a good turnout. Cheer on. You're going to see some Reading and Psych Soccer, and who knows, some of these players may end up playing. I don't know for sure. Some will play on the college level. And who's to say maybe we don't see a couple of them end up playing with SAFC or USL or Pro. I mean, that's how we got Jose Gallegos, with Central Catholic.
So my final thought here, and I'm trying to see if I can pull it out here. If there's a team this summer that you want to follow in USL League 2, I would advise you to look at Hill Country Lobos. I'm not sure if you're following who they've signed, but they've signed Willow Mabula, who used to be with SanAntonio FC, who plays at it says LCU. Sorry, I forget what school he played. But he plays for there. But looking at through there, Rocky Perez, who plays for University of Michigan, former SanAntonio FC Academy player. So they are signing a few SanAntonio FC players for Hill Country Lobos up that tier in between us and Austin. If you want to go out and do that, obviously Corpus Christi as well down there, and then of course if you're deep down the Laredo Heat along those lines for that here. So I know they kick off. It looks like the home schedule for Hill Country kicks off against Laredo Heat on May 28th at Bob Shelton Stadium. But they play Lone Star, Houston Sur, Corpus Christi, Houston FC, and Twin City Toucans. So, like I said here,
kid's playing for that Houston USL 2 team.
No, Houston FC or Houston Sur.
It was one of those two. I remember Doc was letting us know that his Andrew is going to be goalie for one of the two teams. So shout out to Doc and family for that.
I know I'm going to try to make more of an emphasis on covering the League 2 this year, just because there is San Antonio teams and just with the San Antonio FC connections going with Hill Country Lobos, and then I know David as well here. I know we kind of talked about James had a loss in his family. Coming up soon, probably in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to try to reschedule a show about the Crocketeers and just kind of what they meant. We meant to do it before kickoff, but then James had loss of his mom, and so I kind of put it on the back burner. Just obviously there's higher priority things that he needs to worry about for that here. So, but like I said, that's something that I may try to kick the can to see, hey, if we're able to do that, and so that'll be kind of a special show that we do. Kind of one off to kind of recognize the history of the Crocketeers, and I wouldn't mind reaching out to Lee and kind of going over with 118 and and Bear County Casuals, kind of revisiting those days as well, because they are an important part of the history of San Antonio FC as well. For that here now, like I said, I have to reach out to Lee and maybe have to use Matt to reach out to Lee and Al. To kind of talk about the early days on that side, because obviously I'm familiar with the Crocketeers, but we had two great supporters, or two. Well, there's more than two supporter groups, but two of the big supporters groups that aren't here today, but we are filled in by FTC and 210 Alliance have picked it up and are doing great. If they could just get their damn pinata and maybe if Matt can stop
I
wearing
forgot
orange.
the roll pop off, bro, and the win.
But no, the win was horrible. You wouldn't have been able to do it. But we have gone on long enough. Royce isn't here, and Oliver, 112 corner kick missing Copatejas really showed first away game here. But yeah, like I said here, to me, I think it's awesome that 112 is coming in, because if you go back to the roots of SanAntonio soccer, you had the Copatejas in 113. And then you had the 118 Bear County Casuals in 118, and that north side you had kind of filled in, and where they, where the Copatejas would be, let's say taking a break, you'd have 118 doing their thing, and then it'd kind of go back and forth, and there were a few chants that were together, but it was an awesome experience, and I can't wait to see the 112 corner kick mafia that takes up and picks up that mantle, and then me and Rafa sitting in 114. We want to support both for that here while we're sitting down. But hope everybody has a great time. Please like and subscribe. Tell a friend. If you can, subscribe to the YouTube page and give a like on there. It helps. If you do, can download the podcast for that here. Like I said here, on your podcast choice, Spotify, Apple seem to be the two biggest ones for that. If you can, please do that, like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Thank you for everybody tuning in. Chris, Sam, Ollie, Robert. Robert, we don't like Robert. Coach Cano, Ewan, Fernando, Jason. Diet Coke, Jason, Robert Cassiano. Do we count him? He was kind of bad luck, right?
Who?
Mijo.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't his fault. It was Robert that was the bad luck.
Yeah, well, anyways, I'll blame Mijo, just because somebody's got to. But it was a pleasure talking to you guys tonight. Next week we should be back to our normal Sunday match night frame here, because AJ doesn't have a match in Colleen. I'm not sure when the. Yeah, well, no, I know he doesn't.
You better double check. He doesn't volunteer.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. But no, he's got Directors Cup coming up, I think next week for that here. I don't think he's got anything going on this week. But what's life without goals? We are out of here, and I hope everybody has